Hey everybody, it is time for our Zippy clutch. I'm going to film this in a couple of parts, and I only labeled the beginning of the video Zippy clutch. I've made an adjustment on the title because I'm not exactly sure how, after making this, exactly how I'm going to film it until I have done it. So we're going to kind of go through. It's going to be at least 2 videos. It might be a third video. I'll label them on the highlight of the video so you'll know exactly what it is. So the Zippy clutch, with its optional pull tab, is really fun. It's got cork, it's got, so it has cork and then regular fabric. Now it says to use home deck fabric, but if you put a couple layers of SF101 on it or a heavier interfacing, you can get that same feel. So this is just one of our ombre fabrics from Michael Miller that we used. 2 zips, so a zipper here, and then it's got a zipper here, and you're ready to go. You'll follow the instructions right on the pattern for making the tie. I didn't bring home to film this piece of cork. So you can make it out of fabric, you can make it out of cork. It's super simple. You guys have all done something very similar to this. So you will have that set. So let's talk, once again, if you guys want to see a better picture. So you have a zip. You have a zip, so we've got cork on the side, cork across this top piece. We have the back, and then we're lined inside, and then we're lined inside, okay? So I'm using all one piece of ombre fabric, so let's talk about our pieces. So we've got 2 zippers. I'm using just the same size. It talks about a number 3 and a number 5. I'm just using the exact same zippers. I went ahead and put the cork on the bottom of these 2, so at the zipper pull. One of them, you are going to put right sides together. You're going to sew your 1/4 inch. You're going to turn it, top stitch that 1/8 of an inch, and then you'll have the zipper stop, which is represented right here. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. Which is represented with this little piece here. So this tab is going to go here. All right. Then we're going to take this other one. You're going to put the fabric on it, the cork on it. It'll be right sides together. You're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch. You're going to flip that around and top stitch it in place. That is going to become this tab right here, which is that little zipper stop. Okay, so there is where you guys have that. So with that being said, so there's the zippers. I went ahead and just did that ahead of time to save a little bit of time in the video. I haven't been able to get this through my distributors yet. I'm looking for it, but this is just a double-sided tape, so I just picked some up at Joann's. It's going to come in really handy to hold everything in place. So we have the front and the front pocket lining cut. I have the cork cut and the cork back cut, so that's the other piece of the pocket lining. And then I'm going to be using this zipper, and then I'm going to be using, somewhere I have, we'll wrap up this video with this piece of cork here that will go across the top. So the plan for this first video is we're going to make this outside, then we're going to come back to the second video and do all the assembly. If we need a little bit more, we'll do a third video. So what we're going to do first is I've taken this tape and I have put a piece on the straight side. So as you saw, you cut these a mirror image of each other because one's inside and one's outside, and then this has that curve. So this is a double-sided tape that is going to hold everything together for us, okay? So we're going to take our zipper and we're going to put this, zipper right side down, okay? And I'm going to have my lining piece, or my regular piece, and then I'm going to have my lining piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich this in here. We're going to use that tape to hold it in place. We're going to put this like this. We're going to sew so that when we open this up, we are going to have our pieces right where they need to be. So I'm going to start by removing this first piece of, I'm going to start by removing this first little piece of paper off of this tape. And of course, it's just going to give me a heck of a time to start it. So let me keep working on that. I'm going to just take a straight pin. I had to walk over and get myself a straight pin. So I'm just going to score that piece of tape to get the first piece off. So I just scored it with a pin, and then I pulled this off, and you guys are going to see. So I have that double-sided tape there, and I'm going to have the double-sided tape here. All right? So I'm going to have this piece. Now remember, we're going to put it like here. We're going to start with this end piece. So I am going to line that up right here, just like this. I'm going to press this in base. We're going to trim this later. So that's going to hold that guy in place. I am going to score this one. Once again, I'm going to just use my seam ripper. And I'm going to grab, and I'm going to remove the top piece. So I've got that, and now I'm going to sandwich this. So lining up these edges, starting right there, we're going to line up here, we're going to do this. We're going to go sew 1/4 of an inch through. So let's head to the sewing machine. And we're just going to sew this 1/4 of an inch piece. Apparently, I don't know how to sew a straight line today. So we're going to sew that 1/4 of an inch, and let's head back over to the cutting table. All right. So what we've done here is we've sewn that 1/4 of an inch, and as you can see, now we're lined up and all of our pieces are going to be completely lined, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clip here, and I'm going to hold this in place. So I'm going to use binder clips throughout this, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch across this piece. So I'm going to tell you guys, I was servicing my machine and I left my foot off, so I'm using my walking foot today. No, this does not need the walking foot, but I left my ankle on the service bench, so I'm going to be using my walking foot today. It's not really what I want to be doing, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to get my top stitch over here. Normally I would be, as you guys know, I'd be using the R foot. Now, because of this cork and I don't have a Teflon foot, I am going to slide a little piece of tissue paper here. Remember, and it's not tissue paper, I use the sandwich wrap. I've got that line there, and that's just so that foot will glide right over the top stitch. Well, I'm just looking down and I don't think I switched the camera, so I'm sorry about that. So all I'm doing right here is I am top stitching those two pieces right into place. So I'm actually using, because I have my walking foot today, I'm just using my my stitch in the ditch foot. So here, as you can see, we've top stitched this nice perfect line right across there. The two lining pieces are now held into place. So let's head back to the cutting table, and we're going to repeat these steps to make the other side. And I'm sorry I forgot that camera. So we're going to repeat these steps. So this piece is going to go here. This piece is going to go here. So I'm going to take a piece of that double-sided tape, and I'm going to just press that in place, and it'll just tear. And then I'm going to take one more here. All right. So here, I've got those done. So we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be sandwiching this, and we're going to be sandwiching it in so that it is between these two pieces. So I want, this is what's going to be on top. So it's going to come here. I'm going to take off the piece of tape. Okay, and I'm going to lay that in here just like this. I'm going to press that in place. Okay, and I'm going to line this one up exactly like I just did. Get my head out of the way. All right, so there we go. Once again, when we top stitch, or when we quarter inch, we're going to have this, and then we're going to top stitch it. So we're going to do both of these steps at the machine, and I remembered to switch the camera for you guys. So we're going to come over here. We're going to sew that 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to show you guys this here. So we have that 1/4 inch. We're going to turn this piece. We're going to flip this piece, and we're lining these guys up. Now I'm just going to finger press these, and then I'm going to use a couple binder clips just right here, just to hold those in place. And then I'm going to top stitch. So I want to top stitch across, because I normally, as you guys know, would be using a different foot. I'm just going to put this foot on so that I can go down and stitch my top stitch. Okay, so these pieces now are assembled. So here is my zipper. Here's my zipper. To the left, I have my cork on the front, I have my zipper stop, and then I have my fabric. On the back, I have my pocket lining. You guys will never even see this. I just cut this from two different pieces, different sections of my ombre print. When I cut this piece, I was thinking I was cutting it for the front, so I had matched this dark side, but that's okay. Once again, when you open this, you're never going to see that. So let's head back over to the machine, or to the cutting table. So as you guys can see, we have that portion of our bag is all done, and then all top stitched into place. okay? So then what we're going to do is we are going to take one of our lining pieces, okay? We should have our inside pocket lining. And we are going to put this on this inside, okay? So that's going to go just onto the inside, just like this. So that when we open our zipper, we are lined on both sections, okay? And this one here is my pocket lining. We'll trim that top into place. It is going to be bigger. So we're going to take this here and we are going to line up our corners. So we're going to line up these corners and I'm going to put in some binder clips. What we're going to do is we're going to, let me grab a few more clips. We're going to do a quick 1/8 inch basting stitch that's going to hold this in place so that later on it's going to be, we don't accidentally miss a piece, okay? So we're going to do that. So let's head over to the sewing machine. All right, so we're back. I'm going to do a really quick basting stitch around this. So I'm going to increase that length to about 4.5. And basically I want to stay within that seam allowance, the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to baste this, and you see I'm doing a really big stitch. Okay, so as you guys can see, we've gotten that done, and then I'm going to trim this up over here. So let's head back over to the cutting table. Okay, so make sure before you start trimming that you open up that zipper, all right? So then I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to take, and we are going to trim. We're going to trim the zipper. Got a little crazy there, guys. Sorry about that. So I'm going to trim this zipper. All right. So my zipper is trimmed. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put on our last piece of this accent cork here. And you guessed it, we're going to put a piece of tape to go all the way across it. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this tape right along here, along this cork. Okay, so I've got that there. Okay, so I've got this on here. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put it right across that top. All right, we are then going to sew, flip it, and top stitch it. So let's head over back to the sewing machine. And I was correct. I needed to trim this piece. Okay. So back here, I'm going to switch back to my 1/4 inch seam allowance. And go back to my regular stitch. I just realized I had started that with still a basting stitch. We're going to come through. We're going to sew. Okay. So we're going to sew that. I'm going to flip this back on to put, so you guys will be going back to whatever foot you guys like to top stitch with. That's what you're going to want to top stitch with. So I folded this back and I'm just going to hold this down. I'm going to flip this back. So I'm going to kind of pull here, flip this back, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch across this top. All right, so we've got that top stitch, and so now we are going to head back to the cutting board. And that is the front of your bag. Now we still have to put the zipper on, we have to put the backing on and the lining and finish it up. So this is the good point for us to stop this video so that you guys can get this portion of your bag done. Then you'll come back and you will do the, we'll come back for the second video and we'll assemble it. And then if we need a third video, we'll throw one in there. So we will be back, get the fronts of your bag done, and then you guys will be ready to do the assembly and the back part of it. Have a good one, and we'll see you back here shortly.